winging it? Nah, I don't think so. I'd like to start off by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Ruach HaKodesh. Welcome to another live lesson. This is pretty much a response to the video Elder Apostle Tahar did, what prophecy must take place before the destruction of Babylon. And pretty much he played a portion of the video because he went back and watched that Wi-Fi video, that 4 hour and some change video that they made, supposedly debunking the MOTB, you know. And you know, when you watch it, you know, there was pretty much they waited all the way to about the 4 hour marker to start, you know. And I know they did that on purpose because they're a disingenuous group, the leader especially. I'm sure there's sincere brothers in there, but the leader, he's a very disingenuous individual. And they put up clickbait videos, you know, and that's what they do. But anyways, he was playing a portion of the video I had done. I'm not sure what video that was. This might have been one of the more recent videos that I did on it, where I was breaking down the barcodes of the UPC code. And I never said that's the MOTB, you know, it's pretty much, that's like a prelude to it. And that was the whole, pretty much the whole infrastructure, how they set it up to track things, you know. And another video I did years ago, I believe it was only put up on Daily Motion, if I'm not mistaken. It could have been on YouTube, but years ago, you know, I did a video. Spirit had me do a video where it went into pretty much the origins of how the whole system of the computer and everything was set up. You know, just like a brief history, pointing out some facts of how they had, you know, subtracting and addition machines back then, and then how they kept adding to it, division, multiplication, so on and so forth. Eventually they came along with the tabulating system through the company called IBM. I think it's called International Business Machine, or was. And how that whole situation came about with the perforated cards and all of that, you know, which was set up pretty much to keep tabs on the people. That's what the word tabulating is. And you know, how it was all set up for the times that we're in now, with the system of the MOTB in place, where they're able to track every purchase of everything, you know. And when you do the research on the UPC code, it goes into, you know, they show you the different lines of the bars and different numbers, and you have a 6 in the beginning, 6 in the middle, and 6 at the end. And even when you do the research of the individual that actually came up with this particular system, his name was George Lauer, you know, which I have, you know, Lord's will me read a little bit about him, see where it goes. And pretty much what he did, he didn't invent the UPC code. What he did was he embellished, you know, and pretty much built upon other foundations of individuals that were working since the 1930s to get the system in place. Now IBM, if I'm not mistaken, goes back to the 1800s. It was called the Hollerith machine by the man that had, I believe he created that actual machine, you know. But my memory is hazy on the history because it's been a long time. And pretty much the Hollerith machine was later known as the IBM, you know. And you know, there was a whole history behind that. So going back to the 30s, you know, this is when the whole UPC code was set up. But it wasn't until 71, 72, where he actually, you know, built upon others' inventions and came up with something that he presented to IBM. I believe that was 1973 when he presented it. And actually the first time it was used to track anything was a 50 pack of, Wrigley's Wrigley's the gum, juicy fruit gum, and that's the first time it was scanned, and that was can't remember if it was April, but it was 1974. The year was 1974. That was the first time the UPC code was used in a product. And that whole 666 system is leading up into this very day. This is why the infrastructure of the world is set up the way it is for everything to go digital, so everything can be tracked online. All right. So we have here Universal Product Code. The Universal Product Code, UPC or UPC code, is a barcode code symbology that is widely used worldwide for tracking trade items in stores. UPC technically refers to a UPCA consists of 12 digits that are uniquely assigned to each trade item, along with the related international article number (EAN) barcode. The UPC is the barcode mainly used for scanning or of trade items at the point of sale. Yeah, because eventually they wanted to make everything digital, And you heard Elder Pastor in his video go into how before you had to type in everything and it was harder for them to actually track it, And even when you go into the actual finished UPC code, the individual George Lara that set it up, even he, because people were protesting it when it first came out as being the MOTB, and he pretty much wrote a short little something on it, a little essay on it, short, very short, and said that it wasn't. It just happened to be a coincidence, which that's not the case. But even though it's not the MOTB, it is the road that led to the system that is in place right now at this very moment, that is still being used to this very day, going back all the way from 71, 72, 73, first used in 74, all the way up until today, because they still use the system today, and it's no different than what's going on right now, in the stores, it's the system that they use, which this 666 system is established on the planet, and it's being established as we speak, because the infrastructure is in place. All they have to do is find the right excuse or crisis to implement everything. And you see them moving right now through the WEF, and they're pushing hard on that Agenda 2030 per the specifications of the International GS1 organization. UPC data are a component of global trade item numbers, GTINs. Retailer, clothing, furniture do not use the GS1 system, rather other barcode symbologies or article number systems, so on and so forth. History. Wallace Flint proposed an automated checkout system in 1932. So it goes all the way back to 1932, but it goes all the way back to the Hollerith machine, which was the first name of the actual IBM International Business Machine. Notice international. Using punch cards, right? Because this is what was being used back then for, the IBM. Bernard Silver and Norman Joseph Woodland, a graduate student from Drexel Institute of Technology, developed the bullseye style code and applied for the patent in 1949. So they just pretty much had ideas are rolling around, suggestions were made, different, things were presented, and it just kept building from there. In the 1960s and early 1970s, railroads in North America experimented with multicolored barcodes for tracking rail cars, but this system was eventually abandoned and replaced with a radio-based system called Automatic Equipment Identification, AIE. In 1973, a group of trade associations from the grocery industry formed the Uniform Product Code Council, UPCC, which, with the help of the consultants Larry Russell and Tom Wilson of McKinney and Company, defined a numerical format that formed the basis for the Universal Product Code technology firms, including Sheragon, IBM, Litton, Zellweger, Pitney Bowes, Alpex, Plessy Anchor, RCA, Scanner Inc., Singer, and Dynamo Industries Data General put forward alternative proposals for symbol representations to the council. So everybody had their proposals, everybody had their suggestions. The symbol selection commonly finally chose to implement the IBM proposal designed by George J. Laurer. So there was a host of people working on this idea, but it was George J. Laurer's prototype, I guess for lack of better words, that was used as we know today as the UPC, or Universal Product Code, but with a slight modification to the front in the human readable area. The first UPC marked item ever to be scanned at a retail checkout was a 10-pack, 50 sticks, actually 10-pack, of Wrigley Juicy Fruit chewing gum purchased at the Marsh Supermarket in Troy, Ohio at 8:01 a.m. on 24 June 1974. So this is the first time it was actually used. And you could read on and on and on. There's, more stuff, IBM proposals, so on and so forth. But the point is that the system was set up in place, and the system was set up under 666, which George J. Laurer, which was the actual one that they went with, said that would just happen to be a coincidence, which is not, but it was found out, so they had to make up some cockamamie story. And his daughter, supposedly, she was researching the book of Revelation and the, MOTB, so on and so forth. All right. Now, why is this important? Because this guy here, this individual here of the Wi-Fi, he said that this is madness. I was breaking it down, as the Elder Pastor said, and he stopped it while I was breaking it down. This is madness. They didn't go into the scriptures. Well, you have to break things down sometimes. And the reason why it's important to understand the 666 system, because it's just that, a system that they got going in place. And that system that they have in place is what's setting up the future of buying and selling. I don't understand what's so difficult to understand about that. But what it is doing, because, obviously somebody with a working brain would have said, but wait a minute, you ain't let him finish. You just cut him off, said it was madness. But what's the madness about it? Anyways, Revelation 13, which we always go to, you can start at the 16th verse. And who's the he? This talking about Esau and this whole system, the beast system that's in place. It's already in place. It hasn't been activated yet. They've been playing around with it. They've been showing people. They've been getting people acclimated to it. They've been gradually introducing people to it, gradually sliding the cash out, gradually, adding this to all the different devices out there, getting everything and everyone to get used to working online. It's a gradual thing, but it's a system. A beast system that's in place that all they have to do is fully activate it. It says, and he causeth all. So to cause somebody to do something is to, have an action or do something that will make someone to get involved or to do something, an action, in order to be able to get into this system, right? It says, and he calls it all, both small and great, no matter how small you are or how great you are, no matter rich and poor, how much money you have, how much money you don't have, free and bond, to what? To receive. Why do they have to receive it? Because this is the way that the new system is going to operate in. A MARK in their right hand or in their foreheads. Why? Because this is the wave of the future. And if you hear the whole dialogue, I guess, and talking points of the WEF, that's what it's all about. It's all about tracking. It's all about putting a tracking system underneath the skin of the world, of the people of the world. Goes back to this, where we always speak about the interview with Aaron Russo, and Alex Jones, where Aaron Russo spoke about a meeting that he had with Nick Rockefeller. and how Nick Rockefeller told them that they want everyone C-hipped. You know, this is what they want. This is what they're pushing, right? It says an MARK on their right hand or on their foreheads, and that no man. And they talk about countries. And if it was talking about countries, like Elder Apostle Gabar said, countries are made up of what? People. And that no man might buy or sell, because this is the restriction. You know, unless you receive this MARK, you will not be able to buy or sell, which means you will not be able to partake in this future system. You know, this is how you will be able to partake in the future system if you receive this MARK, which is the Charagma, which is the micro C-hip. And even one of the individuals that met with one of the people that was in the WEF, you know, he told him and he showed him what the size of that device would be. And there's the size, you know, a little bigger than a grain of rice, which is the micro C-hip. And they have it set up to where everything will be on that C-hip, just like Nick Rockefeller told Aaron Russo. Everything will be on the C-hip. And those that come against it and those that don't play the game, just turn it off. And then no man might buy or sell save he that had the MARK or the name of the beast, because that's another thing they touched on there, which is all the same thing, or the number of his name. And what is the number of his name? It's the same as the name of the beast. The number of it, the name, the MARK, it's all tied into the same system. Here is wisdom. Let him that has understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666, which is what? 666, which goes into the Universal Product Code and the whole system that they're putting into place, which is the beast system. And when you go into the last 6, or when you look into this 666, right, which is 666, it's Chi Psi Stigma. Now, when you go here, it doesn't really break it down. It's just 3 Greek letters that represent that have a numerical value of 660 and 6. Now, when you deal with the letter stigma, the Greek letter stigma, 6, that is also the for lack of words, also sex, which sex is what? A cutting into. Man's, rod goes into a woman's, sheath. That is a cutting into. All right. So that 6 or stigma, let's go to it so you can see there's stigma. Chi Psi Stigma right here. Chi Psi Stigma or Chi Psi Stigma. And it doesn't really break it down, but it is letting you know that the last letter or the last letter, which is a 6, is stigma. Now, when you go to Galatians chapter 6 and verse 17, it says, "From henceforth let no man trouble me, for I bear in my body the marks of the Lord Yahushai." Now, the Apostle Paul was using this analogy symbolic for himself, as the sacrifice that Yahushua did was upon him. Everywhere he went, everything he did was upon him. Not physically, spiritually. But those MARKs that were on the Lord were actual. This is why he told Thomas to put his hand into his print. You look up that word print, it's some typo, a type. Something that you etch in, and even on the side, he had a cut in the side. So those were actual marks that the Lord bared, and when you go to this word MARK, right? Lo and behold, what do we have? The word stigma, which is the last letter in the 666, the Chi Psi Stigma. And when you look up the breakdown of the word stigma from a primary stizo to stick, an example prick, because they were actual marks that were in our Lord. The Apostle Paul was using it symbolically, but in the beast system is going to be physical. So we go here, it says, A-M-A-R-K, pricked in. Remember, everything is, they want to put everything in, subdermally. This devil Yuval Harari keeps mentioning that. In, subdermally, under the skin. Or branded upon the body. To ancient Oriental usage, slaves and soldiers bore the name or the stamp of their master or commander, branded or pricked, cut into their bodies. Because once you take this M-A-R-K, this charagma, this micro C hip, what happens? You become a slave for life to Esau. You no longer trust in the Most High, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. You trust in Esau to be your God. You have bowed the knee to the image of Baal. You have given yourself over to another God. So you are no longer fit to serve the Most High Yahweh and His Son Yahushua. To indicate what master or general they belong to, right? And then every one of those international banking families are going to have, slaves assigned to them. And you're going to know who their slaves are by their M-A-R-K, this charagma. It's going to be set up to where, okay, these amount belong to the Rothschild family. These amount belong to the Rockefeller family. These amount belong to the Oppenheimer family. These amount belong to the Merovingian, so on and so forth. It says, and there were even some devotees who stamped themselves in this way with the token of their gods. All right. So this is a cutting into, to stick, an example, prick. All right. And the word there, what? Stigma. The last letter in the Greek letters, chi, psi, stigma, which goes into the 666, which is the universal product code, which is the prelude, pretty much, to the MOTB. Because everything, they wanted everything to be tracked. This is all a part of it. So when this demon here said that this is madness, he didn't break it down. And even when he called himself going into it after making everybody wait, 4 hours, he didn't even break it down. And we've done videos on this, but the Spirit jumped on Elder Pastor to go back and revisit this video, and he brought this out, because I don't remember him going into this, on me, but I know that there was something in here that he mentioned, my name in it, and then Spirit had me do a lesson on it a while back. I don't remember how long ago that was. I'm, as far as time is concerned, I don't have the greatest memory in tracking down time. Okay? So the 666, or the universal product code, that is all a part of the beast system. It's no coincidence. Okay, well, the UPC code that's no longer used. No, it's still used to this very day. And the thing is, nowadays, everything has a UPC code, a barcode. Because that is the new form of the tabulating system, which goes back to IBM, the International Business Machine. International means worldwide, and when you go to the scripture in Revelation, this is going to be a worldwide thing. Revelation 3:10. It says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, because it's going to get bad out here. And the final hour of temptation is going to be when they present that micro C hip to everyone out here in the world, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. Both the word world and the word earth, when you go back into the Greek, both symbolize or mean the whole entire planet. Other places where you see the word world, it means something different, depending on what the context of it or what the Greek says. But in this particular verse, these two words, world and earth, both signify the same thing, the whole entire planet globe, because it is a world system, a global system, a new world order, all right, of the ages, because this is Esau's time. Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So with that, I pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. To the next time I say, Shalom.